Chapter 1: The Underdog. The crowd's roar was intoxicating, a pulse of pure energy that throbbed through the veins of the colossal stadium. Krelig, reigning champion of the Xeno-Brawl League, flexed his 8 muscular limbs and basked in the adoration. Thousands of eyes glittering from bulbous heads, segmented bodies, and scaled torsos were fixed on his hulking form. This was his arena, his world. That was until the newcomer stomped onto the field. The human was laughably small, a bipedal creature barely half the height of Krelig's smallest appendage. A ripple of mocking laughter spread through the stands. This thin-skinned creature, frail and without a single visible weapon, dared to challenge a Xeno-Brawl legend. Marcus tightened his grip on the worn leather handle of his gym bag. He'd heard the jeers, the mocking in dozens of alien tongues. Let them laugh. They had no idea what humans were capable of. His wasn't the body of a natural gladiator, but every muscle fiber was honed from years of relentless training. Earth, with its measly gravity compared to most league worlds, had been his ultimate proving ground. The ref bot, a hovering metal orb, trilled the starting signal. Krelig lunged, the ground shaking from the force of his charge. Marcus didn't flinch. Instead, with the speed of a striking cobra, he darted sideways. Krelig's momentum carried him hurtling past, his clawed limbs swiping through empty air. A roar erupted from the stands, but it wasn't the bloodthirsty cheer of before. It was tinged with confusion, a hint of disbelief. The reigning champion whirled, his compound eyes narrowing in a mixture of rage and curiosity. This puny creature wasn't just prey. There was a flicker of intelligence and strategy behind those focused eyes. Marcus circled his stance like an ancient earth boxer, bobbing and weaving, light on his feet. Krelig growled, lowering himself slightly. This wasn't supposed to be a fight. This was meant to be a spectacle, an effortless demonstration of his species' dominance. The human was ruining the script. Marcus saw the change in his opponent, the shift from pure aggression to a grudging respect. It was time to press his advantage. Marcus feinted a move to the left, and as Krelig shifted his immense bulk to counter, the human darted right. With a burst of power, he launched himself upwards, aiming a well-placed punch at the monstrous alien's midsection. The impact was strangely satisfying, like punching a bag of compact sand. Krelig staggered back, a low snarl rumbling from his throat. Meanwhile, back on Earth, in a grimy dive bar, the kind where the regulars' names are etched into the countertop alongside decades-old stains, an ancient holoscreen flickers, filled not with the usual sporting events, but the Xeno-Brawl match. Never thought I'd see the day a human was the main event in this bloodbath, the bartender grumbles, polishing a chipped glass. A disheveled patron raises a half-empty bottle. I give him 2 more minutes, tops. Then that spiny-legged freak is going to turn him into a bloodstain. Suddenly, on screen, Marcus lands a surprising blow, a flicker of pain contorting the alien champion's monstrous features. The bar erupts in startled gasps, hesitant cheers cutting through the haze of stale beer and cynicism. Back in the arena, the crowd erupted in a cacophony of alien shrieks and whistles. This was no longer a simple slaughter. This was a fight. Marcus landed lightly, adrenaline coursing through his veins. He'd scored the first hit, but the beast before him was far from defeated. In fact, a dangerous glint had entered Krelig's eyes, the fury of a predator cornered. The champion was no fool. His initial contempt had been replaced by cold analysis. He knew now that speed, agility, and the element of surprise were the human's weapons. This wouldn't be a quick brawl. It would be a grueling test of endurance and evolving strategy. And Marcus? A grin spread across his face. This was exactly what he came for. Krelig charged, but not with the clumsy recklessness of before. There was a new fluidity to his movements, a predatory grace. His primary limbs feinted attacks, forcing Marcus into a series of defensive leaps and rolls. The human was fast, but Krelig was learning and adapting. With a roar, the champion unleashed his hidden weapon, a secondary set of arms, smaller and whip-like, that unfurled from beneath his armored carapace. Marcus was caught off guard and barely had time to deflect the first strike. The barbed limb lashed out again, catching him across the ribs and sending a jolt of pain through his body. He stumbled, gasping for breath. The crowd, sensing the turning tide, roared its thirst for blood. Marcus tasted something metallic in his mouth and spat on the dusty arena floor. This wasn't just a sport anymore, it was about survival. Krelig stalked forward, an unsettling confidence radiating from him. Even injured, the human was more challenging than any opponent he'd faced in years. There was a fire in the creature's eyes, a stubborn defiance that sparked a strange sense of respect. No, the alien predator in Krelig banished the thought. This human was prey, and he would enjoy breaking him. Marcus's mind raced. Every instinct honed during his training screamed at him to retreat, regroup, and find Krelig's weakness. But there was no time. The crowd demanded a swift finish to this fight, and Krelig wouldn't give him any breathing room. He ducked another lashing bar, but his reflexes were slowing. He couldn't keep this up forever. Every dodge and block sapped his strength, while the alien champion seemed fueled by an inexhaustible rage. Marcus glanced at his gym bag, still lying where he dropped it at the start of the match. Inside was an idea? No, a gamble. Krelig surged forward, pinning Marcus against the edge of the arena. The crowd's roar pounded in his skull, a chorus for his doom. Every alien face was a mask of twisted delight, waiting for Krelig to finish his prey. Now! That was the only word that pulsed through Marcus's mind. With a desperate surge fueled by adrenaline, he slammed a knee into Krelig's midsection, a sickening thud echoing over the roar of the crowd. Krelig doubled over and Marcus pounced. With a feral roar, he drove his shoulder into Krelig's chest, the impact jarring them both. Krelig, still reeling, instinctively raised a clawed hand to protect his face. In a flash, Marcus twisted, his head snapping forward in a brutal, close-quarters headbutt. The crown of his skull connected with Krelig's nose with a sickening crunch. Back on Earth. Giant hollow screens usually reserved for advertisements now broadcast the fight. A massive crowd has gathered, a sea of faces rarely seen in Earth's major cities for such an event. A young woman stands transfixed, her knuckles white as she clutches a Team Human flag. An elderly man beside her, weathered face twisted in a grimace, mutters, "Kid's got heart, I'll give him that." On the hollow screen, Marcus suffers a setback, the alien champion pinning him against the unforgiving arena wall. The crowd groans as one, their hope flickering dangerously close to despair. Yet, when Marcus fights back, finishing with a crushing headbutt, a determined cheer from the crowd shakes the city center. Back in the arena, the alien champion let out a guttural bellow of pain and utter disbelief. He staggered back, blood fountaining from his ruined face, his eyes no longer those of a predator, but of prey caught in a bewildering trap. Quick to recover, the alien shrugged off the attack as best he could. Looking around, he found Marcus, dashing for a bag lying on the ground. Krelig paused, a flicker of confusion in his compound eyes. Had the human finally snapped under pressure? What manner of weapon was inside that flimsy sack? Marcus ripped the bag open and thrust his hand inside. He yanked out a pair of battered running shoes. The crowd erupted in mocking laughter. Had the human truly lost his mind? Marcus ignored the jeers. He wasn't about to explain the physics of cleats to a crowd of bloodthirsty aliens. Instead, he jammed his feet into the shoes, feeling the familiar spikes bite into the soft arena floor. The change was immediate. His footwork, hesitant before, was now lightning fast. He darted between Krellig's powerful swings, his movements unpredictable and dizzying. The alien champion, built for power, not agility, struggled to keep up with the human's newfound speed. A roar of frustration ripped from Krellig's throat. The spectacle of the easy kill had vanished, replaced by a confusing and maddening dance. Marcus, breathing hard but with a renewed fire in his eyes, pressed his advantage. He was still the underdog, but now, at least, the game had changed. Drawing on a lifetime of brash sportsmanship and the desperate energy of a cornered victim, Marcus did the unthinkable. He stuck out his tongue at the Xeno-Brawl champion. The stadium fell silent. Even Krellig seemed momentarily stunned, his bulbous eyes blinking in confusion. Was this puny creature mocking him? Then it happened. The alien king, the undefeated gladiator, let out a roar that shook the arena and charged with renewed fury. The moment of hesitation was gone, replaced by an all-consuming rage. This wasn't just about a fight. It was about pride, about crushing this insolent human beneath his claws. Marcus grinned. Perfect. His rage hindered Krellig's speed, his attacks clumsier but more powerful. Marcus used this to his advantage, leading the champion on a frantic chase around the arena. He ducked under claws and danced around spiked limbs, always just centimeters ahead of a crushing blow. The crowd, first baffled, then hesitantly intrigued, began to rumble with excitement. This wasn't just a fight anymore. It was high-stakes performance art. The human was like a matador, leading a monstrous bull with a flick of his tattered gym bag. As Krellig's breath grew ragged, Marcus saw his opening. It was risky, reckless even, but it was his only shot. With a gasp that was half pain, half brilliant acting, Marcus stumbled. He clutched at his leg, collapsing to the ground in apparent agony. Krellig, ever the predator, sensed a moment of weakness. He lumbered forward, his claws outstretched, poised for the killing blow. The crowd roared, anticipating the bloody climax. Marcus, half buried in the dust, waited until the champion was almost upon him. Then, with a burst of speed that defied his faked injury, he rolled to the side. Krellig, completely wrong-footed by the sudden maneuver, lost his balance. His momentum propelled him forward fast, sending him sprawling face-first into the arena floor, so hard it knocked him out cold. It was a graceless, almost comical fall for such a fearsome gladiator. Silence and confusion fell over the stadium. Then, a ripple of laughter began, first hesitant, then swelling into a wave of confused amusement. Had the mighty champion been tricked? Marcus scrambled to his feet, a fierce smile lighting up his sweat-streaked face. Seizing the moment, he lunged forward, not for a weapon, but for Krellig's prized championship belt. The intricate band of metal and gemstones, a symbol of Xeno-Brawl's supremacy, glinted in the harsh arena lights. With a defiant cry, Marcus yanked the belt free. Krellig, disoriented but finally roused, rose to his feet on shaky legs. It was too late. Marcus held the belt aloft, a brazen human standing triumphant before a bewildered alien champion. Back on Earth. In the modest home where Marcus grew up, harsh hollow-screen light bathes the room. Martha, an older woman with silver hair pulled back in a no-nonsense bun, sits rigidly on the large sofa alongside family members. Her weathered hands clutch a pad with a holographic photo, a younger Marcus, grinning in a Little League uniform. Her family, a mix of ages and faces, lean in anxiously around her. The commentators' voices are a frantic blur. Martha closes her eyes, whispering, "Please, baby, be careful." Then the roar of the alien crowd turns into something else, confusion, then begrudging laughter. Martha dares to open her eyes. On the screen, her boy, battered but unbowed, stands triumphant, holding a champion's belt. Tears of relief mix with a fierce, unyielding pride. A wave of sound crashes over her, not just from family members, but from outside. The cheers of her neighbors, the shouts of strangers, a hurrah so powerful it shakes the neighborhood, a jubilation that echoes across the entire planet. Earth erupts in a symphony of impossible joy. Back in the arena, the refbot, seemingly as shocked as everyone else, hovers indecisively between the two fighters. As bets were being re-evaluated, a torrent of alien languages buzzed around the stadium. Outraged cries, disbelieving shouts, and a growing undercurrent of exhilarated cheers echoed in the arena. The Xeno-Brawl Governing Council, an assembly of grotesquely opulent aliens perched on a raised platform, erupts into a heated debate. Holographic gestures fly across the air, accompanied by screeches and bellows that echo through the arena. Marcus, adrenaline still thrumming in his veins, watched the spectacle with a mix of exhaustion and amusement. The refbot warbled something unintelligible at him, pointing towards the belt. He shrugged and held it higher. He wasn't about to downplay his victory after that stunt. Minutes stretched into what felt like hours. The crowd noise rose to deafening levels. Factions had formed. Those who demanded Krelig be restored as champion, claiming the human's trick was foul play, and those who roared for a new victor, enthralled by the boldness and sheer chaotic energy Marcus had brought to the fight. Then, the council's verdict came. It was a decision so audacious, so unexpected, that it silenced the stadium for a split second before chaos erupted anew. The announcement of the council's decision was drowned out by another wave of chaotic reactions. Krelig, seemingly as dissatisfied as Marcus by the compromise, bellowed his fury but was ultimately forced to submit to an unsatisfying draw. This wasn't over. Marcus held on to the belt, the cold metal a stark reminder that his journey was far from over. The rematch loomed, and the crowd now watched him with a mixture of grudging respect and a flicker of apprehension. He was no longer a sideshow, but a genuine contender, a threat to their carefully controlled spectacle. Yet, when Marcus finally returned to Earth, the welcome was like nothing the planet had ever witnessed. He wasn't just a champion, he was a symbol, proof that humanity, often dismissed as weak and insignificant, held a spark of rebellion that could shake the very foundations of the galaxy. Celebrations erupted across Earth, lasting not days but weeks. Every nation, every city, every forgotten corner of the planet seemed to find a reason to rejoice. Marcus became the face on a million banners, his name a rallying cry. He toured not just the world but the orbiting stations and the fledgling outposts on Luna and Mars, anywhere that held a human heart hungry for a taste of triumph. Yet, even amidst the whirlwind of fame, the unfamiliar faces, the countless speeches, the endless roar of the crowds, Marcus never lost sight of the rematch. He carried the weight of a galaxy's expectations on his shoulders, the fate of his newfound fame intertwined with his ability to survive what was to come. Time passed into a frenzy of analysis and adaptation. Marcus was no longer alone. He had the backing of every government, every corporation, every human on Earth, and many aliens who now saw him as a symbol of defiance. Every detail of the new rule set was dissected, memorized, and debated. The fight wouldn't be on a flat, open field this time. Instead, a maze-like obstacle course would be constructed within the arena walls, forcing both combatants to rely on wit and agility, not just brute strength. This was potentially Marcus's advantage, if he could survive long enough to exploit it. But now, failure wouldn't just mean personal defeat. It would be a crushing blow to the hope he had ignited across the stars. Krelig would be adapting as well, his advisors no doubt strategizing to counter Marcus's speed and unconventional tactics. The human knew he couldn't rely on the same tricks twice. This wasn't just about winning the belt anymore. He had become part of something far bigger, a potential shift in the very foundations of the Xeno-Brawl League. Months of grueling preparation bled into each other. Marcus trained like never before, haunted by the image of Krelig seething with hatred, ready to regain his title. Yet something nagged at him. The new rules were designed for quick thinking, yet his focus remained on strength, on speed. He was preparing for the wrong fight. "You're aiming at the wrong target," a voice rasped from the shadows of the technologically advanced gym Marcus now called home. Marcus whirled, eyes focusing on the stranger, his bodyguard surging forward in a protective stance. A hunched figure stood silhouetted in the doorway, scaled skin and gleaming eyes just visible in the dim light. Visibly behind him, a flurry of reporters, crowds, and security personnel struggled against an invisible barrier. "Who are you?" Marcus demanded, suspicion warring with curiosity. As trainers and personnel closed in on the mysterious figure, he held up his hands in a gesture of surrender. "I was sent by my planet on behalf of our galactic regime," he said calmly. "I'm authorized to be here by your government as well." He extended official-looking paperwork towards the guard. The guard's earpiece crackled with frantic transmissions. He scanned the papers with his telepad, his frown gradually turning into a look of surprise. "Paperwork is authorized, and Command just called in and confirmed his identity and clearance," he reported to Marcus. "All good, sir." Marcus nodded and the guard stepped back, maintaining a watchful distance. With a speed that made Marcus blink, the figure blurred across the room, suddenly standing before him. This alien was small and unassuming amidst the giants of the Xeno-Brawl, but there was a sharp cunning in its multifaceted eyes. "You could call me a friend," the alien stated, its voice a hiss. He extended a hand, and Marcus, too intrigued to hesitate, shook it. "I've been watching you, human. You have potential, but you're fighting their fight, not yours." Intrigue burned hotter than fear inside Marcus. "What do you mean?" "The Xeno-Brawl," the creature hissed, glancing around conspiratorially. "It's more than a sport. It's a tool, designed to maintain the balance of power. Your victory was an inconvenience, but they've turned it to their advantage. Now, it's about proving their rules are supreme, no matter who the fighters are." Marcus frowned, the pieces slowly clicking into place. "So the rematch," he muttered. "It's a trap." "Could be," the creature responded. "The League likes their spectacle, but true victory? They fear that more than any rebellion. But I can teach you, human. Teach you not only to play their game by your rules, but to twist those rules to your advantage. I can show you how to push your body and your mind beyond what any human thinks possible." Marcus looked down at the championship belt, a symbol that seemed to weigh heavier with each passing day. Was he just a pawn in a larger game? And could this unsettling alien offer him an escape from the trap he sensed closing around him? He glanced up, decision hardening in his eyes. "Teach me." A smile crossed the alien's face as he bowed his head in a show of respect. "It would be my pleasure, O great descendant of Muhammad Ali."